sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hate. They used to laugh at me, their children called me names. I would run and hide, feeling so ashamed just for being born. I was just a boy, punished for a crime that was not mine. Life ain't so easy.
Hello, hello, hello. And thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. I am Claudine Jackson. I am your host for A Spoonful of Comfort. I have a very exciting show planned today. So hopefully you will stay tuned and you will stick with me for A Spoonful of Comfort. But something I wanted to say, Thanksgiving is coming up, and I have a lot to be thankful for. I have been blessed, but I have a son with a handicap who is one of the less fortunate. So I want to thank everyone who has donated to the Purvis Jackson Jr. Autism Foundation. Because of you, we are able to help less fortunate handicapped children. And we were able to send out some checks to help them through the holiday season. And I thank you so much. Jesus said through the scriptures, Matthew 25:40, that which ye do for the least of my brethren, you do it also unto me. Mm-hmm. So God bless you and thank you for helping children with handicaps who we know are the least of our brethren. In fact, having a child who was one of the less fortunate made me realize that I was one of the more fortunate. And doesn't he want those of us who are more fortunate to take care of the less fortunate? So thank you, thank you, thank you for donating to the Purvis Foundation, for attending our functions, because you help us help children with handicaps. So God bless you. Now that the commercial is out of the way, we can get on with the show, and I want you to meet two very special guests who are here today. Yvonne Vernay.
Good morning.
She is a singer, and we are going to introduce her latest releases. And Gino Clark, who is responsible for her latest releases. Gino Clark is the son of Tony Clark, who I thought I knew very well, but since I've met Gino, I found out there's a lot about him that I did not know. So, okay, Gino, can you introduce your father to us?
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Gino Clark, and I started this back in 2015 when my father got nominated for the R&B Hall of Fame, and ever since then, I got a passion to make sure that his legacy keeps going. And I ran into my friend Yvonne here, and we've been clicking ever since. So, ever since 2015, I got a book out called The Genius of Tony Clark, and we got that out and it's available on Amazon.com. Plus, we have created from 45 years of just being like a hidden treasure. We come up with a couple of songs that was just sheet music, and we had, McKinley Jackson. He arranged it for me, and we had Drew Schultz was in the Broken Habits, is the band, and he helped me co-produce it, and it was available on the 24th of this month. No, last month. Last month, and is available on the cable networks, Spotify, Amazon.com, and it's on 45s. That's rare. It's on the 45, and it's on the Brute label. That's was my father's label, and we continue, continuing it on his label. The new record's My First Love and You Can Do It. And it's getting a lot of playtime now in the UK, Germany, overseas. We playing it here in the U.S. and it's going to be a big hit for Yvonne. And
Thank you. And before we introduce Yvonne, I knew your father personally, but I knew him as a singer because Gino's father was responsible for one of the biggest hits that many entertainers did, and the song was called "You're the Entertainer."
the entertainer, yes,
And
right.
the song talked about what entertainers have to go through, but they got to hit that stage because the show must go on.
Show must go on.
But I did not know that he wrote. So would you tell us some of the songs that he wrote that became hits?
Well, one song he wrote for David Ruffin. It was called "Hurry, Mr. Bus Driver." That was a big hit. Aretha Franklin, Dr. Feelgood, and he also wrote "Just Like You Did Me" for Yvonne Bernay in her earlier stage in her career, and Etta James he wrote for Buddy Smith.
So I thank you for bringing that out because, like I said, I knew him personally, but I knew him as a singer. I did not know about all the writing that he was doing. And as a writer myself, although I wasn't writing as much back then, as a writer myself, we always need someone to help promote our writing. So I'm so thankful that you're doing this.
Oh, you walk.
So we want to introduce you to the lady who is making all of this possible, Miss Yvonne Vernay. So can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, I started out actually in high school. I was in a talent show, and these guys were talent scouts, and they saw the show, and it was at that time I was in a group called the Donnays, and they took us to this studio called Correct Tone on Grand River because they liked how we performed on the talent show. And so they introduced themselves, and they said, would we like to be singers, cutting records and so forth. And we said, sure. So they took us to this Correct Tone on Grand River, 8912 Grand River. The founder of Correct Tone, his name was Mr. Golden. And so Mr. Golden heard us sing, and he cut records on us. One of the records was called "Devil in His Heart," which was later recorded by the Beatles. And I got a chance to talk to the Beatles. They called us and they said that they liked our record and they would like to record it. And so that was just an honor just to speak to the Beatles from another country at that time. And so after the donates, we only cut one record. And so therefore, after we broke up, because the parents of the girls group wanted them to pursue their careers as going to college. I'm saying so I became my name was Yvonne Symington. And so Mr. Golden, the founder of Correct Tone, said, Yvonne Symington is not a catchy name. He says, let's come up with something other than Yvonne Symington. So that's how Yvonne Vernay was born. And so I became a single artist called Yvonne Vernay. And this handsome gentleman came into the studio as I was recording a song, and he liked the way I sounded. And so he said, I would like to write a song for you. In fact, he had a song for me. And this handsome guy was named Tony Clark. And he wrote this song called Just Like You Did Me. And it went all right in the USA, but I found out years and years later in the 80s and close to the 90s that Just Like You Did Me was a collector's item in Europe, which was selling to this day like 3,000 pounds. But why I'm not a rich lady is because just like you did me, kept the studio warm. so they so they use those records to keep the studio warm.
Well, you're not a rich lady
No.
yet. Yet. The operative word is yet.
Okay.
And I wanted to mention that I have heard her songs, and they are wonderful. They are, for us old school people that like just pure music, one of the songs is called My First Love, and it's a throwback song. She has a beautiful voice. The melody, everything is wonderful. And the other song is called You Can Do It, which makes you want to get up and dance.
Mm-hmm.
And she's telling you you can do it. I heard about dancing because I never considered myself as being able to dance. And then one day somebody said, all you need is one step and an attitude. You do your one step and you have the attitude that you know what you're doing. I said, oh, I can do that.
Okay.
So her song, You Can Do It, is I kind of like that, telling you about getting up and dancing. So we want to offer you the songs. You will hear them during the break and at the end of the show. My First Love and You Can Do It. So if you call in to the station, we will give a copy away of the record. You can call 868-0342. That's 868-0342 to get a free copy of Yvonne's music. It's a beautiful, beautiful arrangement, beautiful singing, beautiful arrangement, and it's pure music. It's not the music that has all the smoke and mirrors and synthesizers, and this is a throwback back to the days when you had to really be able to sing to be a singer. So her beautiful voice will be very good for you to listen to. So hopefully you can call in and get a record. And if you don't manage to call in this week, if you call in next week, you can we'll have the record to give away. And if you've seen the show before, you know that my husband, Purvis Jackson, was the bass singer of the Spinners. My husband and Gino's father knew each other. So I told Gino that Purvis and Tony are up in heaven high-fiving and tap dancing and looking down at us, saying they keeping us going.
Yes,
they're keeping
they
us
are.
going. So I am really proud of what Gino and Yvonne have done and what they're going to continue to do, as I am going to continue to do. We have to keep the old school, the real music. We have to keep that relevant.
Yes.
So I'm so thankful for what both of you are doing. Now you will hear her music during the break, and you will hear it at the end of the show. So we're going to take a short break now, and we will be back with more with Gino and Yvonne.
But none are designed to take the place of my first love. A many handsome face, none can take the place of that one and only in a lifetime first love. Some say it's better the second time you fall. all loves. You know what I'm talking about. When you thought it was real, the way he made you feel, and the things you went through to find that love, it was true. You know that was your first love. You know that was your real love. 'Cause he's my first love, and he's my only love. Yeah. Step of a child, heart and soul love, heaven sent love.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed listening to Yvonne's version of the song, and hopefully you will also enjoy it. If you're a music lover, you will love the song. Thank you so much for sticking with me for a spoonful of comfort. You know, I say during these trying times, political times, and darkness in the world, we need comfort, and we can't get it from our leaders, it seems. So it's up to each one of us to give each other comfort. And a spoonful of comfort, a spoonful of anything is the minimum that you can give. Everybody has a spoonful of comfort. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and even my handicapped son wants to give comfort. And speaking of comfort, one of my greatest comforts since I was a child has been music. Music is music for the soul. Music heals the soul. You know, we have food for our body, but music has been the great equalizer all around the world for years. So that's why I'm so glad to present the music that we are presenting today. So I wanted to ask Gino again, would you tell me about the Germany connection?
Oh yes. Well, we have a friend over there, Dave Thorley, and he put together a nice little video on YouTube. It's the Yvonne Bernays sample. You can check that out, and it shows you Yvonne's talents and that it was made here in Detroit. And we're trying to bring Detroit back and Yvonne. So it's going to be nice. Just check it out on YouTube.
I saw it, and it's Yvonne, Yvonne, Vernee, Vernee, if you want to look it up on YouTube. And for someone from Germany to be promoting something from Detroit, that lets you know that Detroit is still relevant, not just in this country, but all around the world.
Well, the fact that they like it so much is that it was made in Detroit, you know, from scratch, you know. Instruments, live instruments, everything was done right in the Motor City.
The musicians, the performers, the arrangers.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm so glad that you're on here to tell us about this. And Yvonne, you sang, you talked about your original singing, but did you quit singing for a while?
Well, I did kind of quit singing for a while, and this writer was named William Weatherspoon, and I went to school with this young man called James Dean. And the Elgins were looking for a new lead singer for the Elgins. And by William Weatherspoon being at Correct Tone, he knew, he wrote for me, songs for me, in fact. And he knew my talent or what I can do. And so he referred the Elgins because he went from Correct Tone, William Weatherspoon went to Motown. And so when the Elgins were looking for a girl singer, he referred me, and he gave the Elgins my address, and he called me and said, would I be interested? And I said, sure. So they came over, I auditioned, and the rest is history.
will tell us what the Elgin's big hit was.
The Elgin's big hit was Heaven Must Have Sent You. It went to number 3 in the UK. And I just want to say that because of the UK, they brought the Elgins back to life. And to this day, I thank them. From 1968 till today, I give the UK credit for keeping the Elgins alive.
And, I don't know what this festival is that the people from UK and Europe have been coming over having. This was the second year that they had it.
Detroit Go-Go.
Is that okay? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So they say that Detroit music is more appreciated there than it is here.
Why is that?
I wish I knew, but I'm thankful. I'm glad that it's
Yvonne's
appreciated.
thankful, and a lot of the entertainers, get a little work in and get a chance to,
Yes.
show they still got the skills to put out good music.
I first started listening to music back in the 40s. I'm telling my age now, but you know my age. I tell you, I'm pushing 80. I'm pushing 80, and I'm blessed and thankful to be able to be pushing 80.
You're looking good, though, Claude.
And feeling good. So I want to be productive. We're supposed to be productive as long as we're alive.
Yes.
So I'm glad that I'm still able to be productive. I'm glad that you two are being productive because music, like I say, music is for the soul.
Yes.
And music is the great equalizer all over the world.
Yes.
You can go to another country and hear their music, and you might not understand the words, but you get the feeling and the meaning and the beat.
Exactly.
And like when the Spinners were performing in Japan, they didn't understand the Japanese words. The Japanese didn't understand all the American words, but they understood the music.
They
Right.
sure did.
So music is
Universal.
Yes.
Universal.
Music is the great
Right.
equalizer all over the world, and music is a comfort. This
Yes, it
show
is.
is about comfort,
Yes,
and
it
music is a comfort. And back in the Motown days, when they had all the big hits, the music not only was a comfort, but it was clean. As a retired teacher, my students would come into the classroom and they'd be singing some of the things that they heard on the radio. And I'd say, I won't even mention the rappers, and I'd say, you can't sing that in here, but Miss Jackson, it's a hit. It's a hit. I said, not in here. You're not going to be singing that in this room. This is the room of education. I'm supposed to teach you what's appropriate. So I took in Motown music because you could play it in the classroom
Yes.
and not worry about
Yes.
something inappropriate coming
Exactly.
up. So I appreciate the fact that Motown made good, clean music, and Detroit made good, clean music.
Yes.
All the songs that your father wrote, and I haven't heard all of them, but the ones that I heard, I know are capable of being played in a classroom.
Right.
Our songs back then had a message.
Yes.
Most of them have a storyline to them.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And some of the times with the music of today, I would say, I don't know what they're saying. And then when I heard what they were saying, I said, well, I'm sorry. I know what they're
I'm
saying.
telling. I have a young grandson that loved the Spinners, that loved the Temptations, and he's young. I mean, young. My nieces. I have a niece that loved the blues. She listens to nothing but the blues, and she's young.
And so you don't have to worry about what they're going to hear.
Right. Exactly.
You put on one of those rap songs and
That's not music right there. That's,
right. And I'm amazed that it became so popular because I'm the one that said, oh, it'll never.
Well, the younger generation, that's what they like.
Yeah, that's what they like. But then the Spinners had a hit called Rubber Band Man.
Oh,
Right.
And when
that was my
when I
favorite.
first heard
Yeah,
it, I
right.
said, "Oh, it'll not be a hit." So it shows you what
Please.
I know.
I'm
Shows
telling
you what
you.
I know. But tell us a little bit more about the book about your father. How long were you working on that?
Well, it took close
And
to
tell us
3
the
years.
name of the book again.
Oh, The Genius of Tony Clark, Seen in Hindsight. It took like 3 years to get it together, and I had help from my cousin Darlene Gaskins, and we got from the beginning of his life, all the way to the time that he was deceased, and that was 31 years old. He
How
had
many
this-
years ago was that?
That was back in 1971.
Oh, wow.
So he's been dead over close to 48 years or so now. But we trying to bring his legacy back.
His body is gone, but his spirit is still here.
Oh, he's
here.
living through me.
That's right.
Definitely.
And Purvis's spirit is still here.
Yes, definitely.
And their spirits are inspiring us to continue
Yes, yes.
with what they were doing.
Yes.
And so I'm so proud of you, Gino, for doing what you're doing.
Yes.
I appreciate that. It's just something I had to do.
Yes.
That
Something
had to be
that-
done,
yeah.
actually, because,
Compelled you.
my father didn't, receive, none of his worth that he was supposed to.
He really didn't.
Oh,
he really
no,
didn't.
and people, making money off my father's records, all over the world, and it's time to bring that home.
But then
So-
that shows how great he was. If
Oh,
they're
yeah, he-
doing that shows, how great the man
Oh,
was.
they love his music, though. I mean,
And I'm glad that in the book you have seen from hindsight, because even for me who knew him,
right.
I'm seeing. So it's about time for us to go.
But it's
You-
about his stories. I mean, his songs, like you said, they were stories. Most of in the book is songs that he was talking about life that's in the
Yes.
book. On top
And
of it,
that's
you
the
know.
way music used to be. It was always a story. So it's about time for us to go. I'm so glad to have Yvonne and Gino on the show, and they will be back. So until next week at 1:30 on WHPR, please tune in then for a spoonful of comfort. And please remember, you can give comfort as well as get comfort. Thanks for tuning in.
You keep telling me you can't dance. You know what I think? You're scared to take a chance. So take my hand. Let's get on the floor. I'll show you how to dance. 'Cause I know you got soul. Just don't be afraid. No.
was sick and tired